Welcome to An Equal Playing Field. I'm your host, Rafael Ibarra, and today I will share with you another important moment and individual in sports and civil rights. Today's barrier was the White Boys Club, the Washington Redskins. Here's what led up to this moment. The rest of the NFL had reintegrated, most by 1953, but the Washington Redskins and their owner, George Marshall, refused to integrate. Marshall had forced the NFL to essentially segregate in 1933. But this is a story for another time. Did you know this barrier wasn't broken until 1962 when Bobby Mitchell became the first African American to play for the then Washington Redskins? This is the backstory. As football became more popular due to television coverage, people began to notice there were no African Americans playing on the Washington Redskins. Since the Redskins played in the nation's capital, civil rights leaders felt that by breaking this last sports barrier would spotlight the need for integration across the country. So the NAACP began an all-out effort to force the desegregation of the Redskins. This wasn't easy. There was pushback by some white supremacist groups and the owner, George Preston Marshall. He supported segregation and he refused to integrate his team. At the same time, there was a new stadium being built in D.C., and it was on federal land. So the federal government decided to join in the push and said that they wouldn't allow a segregated team to play in Robert F. Kennedy Stadium, RFK. Department of the Interior Secretary Udall wrote in a memo, "We are prepared to take action against the owner of the Washington Redskins, the last citadel of segregation in professional sports." They had Marshall where the hair was short. He had to give in if he wanted to play in the new stadium. Through a series of deals, Bobby Mitchell was traded from the Cleveland Browns to the Washington Redskins to break the barrier established by Marshall. Here is the rest of the story. Mitchell played on the team until 1969 and then went on to work for the organization until 2003. His goal was to be the first black general manager. Sadly, the new owner passed over him and hired someone else. Hurt by this slap in the face, he then retired from the Washington Redskins. Mitchell worked for numerous civil rights organizations and causes. He passed away on April 5, 2020, at the age of 84. Bobby lived long enough to see that 70% of the players in the NFL are African American. There are still barriers to break in the NFL. Bobby Mitchell is truly a civil rights and sports hero. Like this video and subscribe to my podcast, An Equal Playing Field.